speech today is about how to Cub Scouts. Right. Who here has been a Cub Scout or a Girl Guide or something else exciting?
Girl Guide.
That's how you dress these days. I meant when you were younger.
Yeah, okay.
When I was, just so that you know, in the Cub Scout movement, we start off with keers. Keers are cute little things about this high. When they get to about this high, this is about 6 by the way, when they get to about this high, which is about 8, then they get to go off and become Cub Scouts. And from the age of 8 through to 10, they get to be Cub Scouts. And from 10 and a half, very important age, through to 14, you get to be Scouts. And beyond that, you've got ventures and rangers and all sorts of other exciting things. And Sea Scouts and Air Scouts and what have you. But I wanted to talk to you guys about Cub Scouts because that's my particular interest. When I was old enough to be, I mean, as you know, I'm quite a shy, retiring person. And I'm supposed to laugh. I am being quite a shy, retiring person. When I was of age to be a Cub or a Keer or a Scout, it scared the crap out of me. It was something I had absolutely no interest in, and I actively took steps to make sure that I never ended up being a Cub Scout. And so I missed that entire experience. My sister was a Girl Guide, but I didn't like the uniform, so that didn't So I skipped the whole Cub Scout stuff initially. But when I was in my first job, and I was about 17 and dressed incredibly well, as you can imagine, and somebody thought that I probably really needed some guidance and mentoring and said, hey, look, I run a Cub Scout pack. Would you like to come along and be a leader? And it was pretty close to where I was living at the time. I thought, yeah, that'd be fun. And it was cool. It was great. And I really should have been a Cub when I was a little younger. But it was great. You get to go along and have lots of fun with these kids, and you're running around the hall madly. You know, definitely getting to be a kid. Really, lots and lots of fun. Probably the thing I enjoyed the most was going off to the Cub camps. You go up to the camps and you've got all these kids off in dormitories, and you're doing flying foxes and you're swimming, you're doing all those other really cool things. And it was a really great thing. I then left New Zealand, and when I left New Zealand, I wasn't a Cub Scout anymore, which is really sad because I like little kids running around calling me Baloo. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of it, particularly if you haven't been Cub Scouts, but all of the leaders within Cubs, they're all warranted for the police checks and what have you, and as soon as it work out you don't have a criminal record, that's when they give you an animal name. My son he's Alex, he's really cute, and I thought, right, you have to go off to Cubs. And so last year we took him along, 2 Cubs. He was about the right age to start checking. Didn't go on to Keep, did go to Cubs. And inevitably over time, people come and say, hey, would you like to be a Cub leader? Oh, no. Anyhow, so they load me into becoming Cub leader. And it's really changed for me. It's something where it's still the same amount of fun. It's great to be able to run around the hall, talk to these different kids, you know, Cub Scouts as you need to. Makes me very happy. I found that for me, unfortunately, I've grown up, which is really quite sad. And I take it I'm much more aware of things. You have to be a mentor to kids. You have to treat them right. Some of them come to Cubs for different reasons. A lot of mothers bring their sons and daughters along to Cubs because they want them to have a male influence that they're generally not getting in primary school. And in our Cub pack, you've got a bit of a mix. We've got male and we've got female, but they want to have that male influence. You've also got these kids there where they start off at 8 and they're quite innocent. They get through to 10 and a half, they're not innocent anymore. Yeah. All my best dirty jokes that I have heard of late, we've got from 10 and a half year old kids. And of course I'm not allowed to laugh. No, not funny. Also much more aware of risk assessment stuff. You can't take kids out on an outing without making sure you go through all the appropriate forms. I hate bureaucracy, but I understand the stuff's here for a reason. Similarly, you can't go off and touch kids. Little Johnny desperately needs to be cloaked. You're not allowed to. But also, if little Johnny's running around the hall and he falls over and he scratches, you're not allowed to give him which is a bit tough because
Yeah,
you want to be able to do that.
busy,
Having said that, I mean, there's even stuff like, and to be honest, I don't think our PAC's ever had a problem, but there's even an awareness that should little Johnny go home and say, oh, that company, he rubbed my back. And you don't want people going home and saying, yeah, that nice man over there, he likes rubbing my back. It just doesn't work. And so therefore I am much more aware now than I was previously. Having said that, it's something which connects me with something that I wouldn't be connected with otherwise. There's lots of really passionate people who are so much better at it than I am. And it's something which connects me with my son, which is also really cool. So, that pretty much is where I want to finish up, just with a couple of little points for you. Scouting is really cool, and it's something which is really alive and vibrant in New Zealand. I don't know what your experience is, but if I'm not seeing something in my face every day, I tend to forget about it. Scouting is something which is vibrant in New Zealand, more vibrant in New Zealand than there's a lot of other places. It's going to be with us for a long time, and it's something which does contribute back to the community. If you have the opportunity, please volunteer your time. If that's not for you, the next time somebody tries to sell you guide cookies or chocolates from Cadbury, or they have them around the office and you put your $2 in the bag, please do that. And of course, if you know any small children or their parents, please encourage them as well. And Toastmaster, that completes my slide.